Call the meeting to order for the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors business meeting Tuesday, December 15th, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the gallery room in Chatham Community Center, 115 South 3rd Street, Chatham, Virginia. Roll call, please.
Mr. Davis.
Present.
Mr. Dudley. Present. Mr. Palmer.
Here.
Mr. Ingram. Here. Dr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Scares.
Here.
Mr. Warren.
Here. Before we observe a moment of silence, I see some folks in our audience that are elected official. I think that's George Henderson hiding back there from the school board. Thanks for being here, George. And one of our past Board of Supervisors is here, Mr. Brenda Bowman. Thank you all for being here tonight. So, and I see that Mr. Motley's here too, and some other friends back here. Thank you, Mr. Motley. I would ask that everyone would observe a moment of silence with me, please. Thank you. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Are there items to be added to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, we have one item to add, and it comes to us from the Service Authority, I propose to add it as agenda item 7I under consent, and it is the fiscal agent certification in partnership with PCSA to receive and administer funds from the Commonwealth of Virginia's Department of Accounts for COVID-19 municipal utility relief.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, the motion made by Mr. Scares. Seconded by Mr. Ingram. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please cast your votes.
How about the Finance Committee? Is that going to happen in matters from the work
We're
session?
going to bring that up under matters from the work session.
Thank you, sir.
Waiting on one vote. Okay, all votes have been cast. Motion carries unanimously. Can I get a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second? Motion made by Mr. Davis, seconded by Mr. Ingram. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. We're down to consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda has been presented.
Second.
It's really has been revised.
As it
We
provided,
added
I'm
something.
sorry.
That's
Yep.
okay.
Mr. Dudley makes a motion.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Davis seconds. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. We're down to presentations.
Get 'em.
Do we have any, Mr. Smith? Any presentations?
Not unless you desire to honor the.
Yeah, yeah, let's do that now.
We have two things to hand out.
Okay. Dr. Miller, you want to come up and do PCSA first?
Yes, sir.
Ask all the board to join us back here with your badge, please.
Do what? Want a mask?
to ask Mr. Willie Fitzgerald if he please come forward. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Fitzgerald, you come with me.
Okay.
Why don't you come right this way?
Right here, please. Well, first of all, I would like to say that Mr. Fitzgerald, of course, is a lifelong resident of Chatham, Virginia, Pittsylvania County. And he and, of course, Mrs. Fitzgerald are very, very well-known and appreciated members of the community. And I need to take this thing down.
There you go.
All right. Certificate of Appreciation. The Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors and county staff express their sincere appreciation and admiration for your commitment and service to the county during your 25 years of service on the Pittsylvania County Service Authority as its Bannister District Representative. It is citizens like you who work tirelessly for the betterment of the county. We wish you the best in all your future endeavors and thank you for your years of exemplary service. Mr. Willie Fitzgerald, given this 15th day of December 2020, and it is signed by Mr. Rod W. Warren, Chairman of the Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors.
I would just like to say to the board and all that's in attendance, I thank you, I appreciate it, and it was an honor to serve this county that I have been in for 73 plus years. And I hope to continue to serve this county many more years in whatever capacity that I can. So I appreciate this coming from this board. Thank you. Let me just add this, I could not have done it without my lovely wife.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you.
Stay up, guys. We have one more. Mr. Motley, please come forward. And I, like Dr. Miller, will have to take it off so I can do this real quick. Certificate of Appreciation. The Pittsylvania County Board of Supervisors and county staff express their sincere appreciation and admiration for your commitment and service to the county during your 28 years of service on the Planning Commission as its Chatham Blair's District Representative. It is citizens like you who work tirelessly for the betterment of the county. We wish you the best in all your future endeavors and thank you for your years of service, exemplary service, Richard Motley, given this 15th day of December 2020, Robert W. Warren, Chairman. Mr. Motley, I got a lot more to say than just this. This gentleman happens to have represented the Chatham Blair's district, which is a district that I serve along with the entire county. And when you're serving on the Board of Supervisors, you have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of different things pulling at you and tugging at you and concerns and worries as you're doing that. One thing in the last 5 years I have not had to be concerned about or worried about was the decisions that were going on and the work being done on the Planning Commission, because I had this gentleman taking care of all of that. And he did a job well beyond the call of duty and displayed professionalism second to none. Our county attorney told me when I told him that Mr. Motley had indicated that he had had enough. Mr. Hunt said, "You got to talk him out of that." Which, you know, I tried to do my second best sales job ever. The first one went to my wife, Mr. Motley. But the second one, I tried to work on Mr. Motley because I did not want him to leave. But I understand, you know, why, and I'm sure he's going to share a few words. And I'd also like to give the opportunity for the board's representative to the Planning Commission, Mr. Dudley, if he would like to say a few words.
Yes, sir. What a blessing it's been. I've been on the planning commission now for three and a half years now. And just having an opportunity to work with him, we have different meetings like in high schools, like a solar company coming in, they're setting up. He'll call me up and say, let's go up there and let's see what's going on. And he takes you in. He showed me pretty much how the system works. And I'm going to tell you, he's a wealth of knowledge walking out the door that we're going to really miss. And what a blessing it is to work with somebody like him. And then you become their friend on top of that. He might not call me his friend, but I can call him my friend. And just what a pleasure it's been. We've become close-knit. He was chairman. I was vice chairman for a while. And the guy is just, he's got his stuff together. I promise you, he can put all of us in line as far as if something goes wrong in a meeting, he can get it straight. He don't even have to ask him. He knows what to do. And I'm so thankful that I've had an opportunity to serve with him. So.
Mr. Motley, you want to say something?
Mr. Warren,
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for reappointing me and giving me the opportunity to serve the county. It has been an honor and a pleasure to serve the citizens of Pittsylvania County, but especially the board of supervisors, that confidence they have in appointing me and reappointing me, and I have an opportunity to serve with 3 members of the supervisors on the planning commission. And they have always supported me as I have tried to work with them. And I want to thank you again. It has been an honor and a pleasure. I have enjoyed it.
Thank you, Mr. Motley. Mr. Davis and Dr. Miller are the other 2 people that
That's right.
served with Mr. Motley, so I don't want to not give you all the opportunity if you'd like to say something.
Real quick, I don't have to say this, but I'm going to say. The first time I went on the first year with Mr. Motley, extremely detailed, extremely detailed. And that impressed me very much. But the thing that impressed me the most is when we had the new solar farm come into my district. I talked to him and I talked to a couple of others. I said, look, you guys need to go over and run them over the ringer so that way we can vet a lot of what's going on coming the first time in Pittsylvania County. Let me tell you, he was better than the prosecuting attorney counsel. And after it was all over with, I did gauge the guy that brought it out here from Colorado. I asked him, I said, you okay? He said, is it going to be like that at the BZA? I said, I don't know. He got his attention and he did a great job, and I appreciate it. He did very well.
Well, I would like to say that I also had the opportunity to serve on the Planning Commission after my father for a little bit over 20 years also. And for the time that I had the opportunity to serve, Mr. Motley was very cordial, very kind, and on several occasions there were cases that were Bannister and Chatham District, and I think we worked together to come up with the right answers for the request, and I appreciate that, and it was my good pleasure to serve with you as well.
I would like to add also with Dr. Miller, I not only got to serve with Dr. Miller, I got to serve with his father and his daughter. And I
That's
think
right.
it has been a pleasure, and I support you.
Thank you, Mr. Motley. We're down to hearing of the citizens. Each person addressing the board under hearing of the citizens shall be a resident or landowner of the county, or the registered agent of such resident or landowner. Each person shall step up, give his or her name and district in an audible tone of voice for the record. And unless further time is granted by the chairman, shall limit his or her address to 3 minutes. No person shall be permitted to address the board more than once during the hearing of the citizens. All remarks shall be addressed to the board as a body and not to any individual member thereof. Hearing of the citizens shall last for a maximum of 45 minutes. Any individual that is signed up to speak during said section who does not get the opportunity to do so because of the aforementioned time limit shall be given speaking priority in next business meeting, board meeting. Absent chairman's approval, no person should be able to speak who is not signed up. Mr. Hunter, do we have anyone signed up?
We have 3 individuals. The first one is Mr. Willie T. Fitzgerald.
Yes, and I think, Mr. Fitzgerald, you're actually speaking for a group, I think.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Fitzgerald, we will extend him 5 minutes.
Good afternoon or good evening.
Evening.
And once again, I said thanks first for the award. But I want to, because of time, pick up from where I spoke to you the last time I was before you concerning the Clyde Banks and the Roy P. Byrd Bridge situation out here. I want to make it clear that we are not here to contest Roy P. Byrd Jr. It's not saying anything bad about him. But it is speaking, hopefully, volumes about Clyde L. Banks Sr. And I think Dr. Miller may have some handouts that he may pass out later on to them. But I want to let you know who Clyde Banks was to us in the African American or black community. One of the first things that I know of him doing was back in the day, before some of us might remember, black teachers in Pittsylvania County was not paid the same as white teachers in Pittsylvania County. Mr. Clyde Banks advocated and eventually was able to get the black pay on the same pay scale as white teachers in Pennsylvania County. He also fought to get black deputies in Pennsylvania County when there were not any in this county. And 2 of the first blacks that I can recall was Clinton Lear Ford and Tom White. Some of you may have heard of them both. And there was one other one, and I don't recall his name.
Olin Saunders.
Olin Saunders. He also went to jail and was jailed in Danville during the civil rights library situation that arose in Danville, Virginia. He also fought to get the public school integrated in this county. And the first black hired was a gentleman by the name of Reverend Hayes McConnell, who came here from West Virginia and began teaching at Chatham High School in the Ag Department, a VOTEC, as they call it. He also fought to get minorities hired in the county in other positions, such as in the Postal Service. And the first one to serve there was a gentleman by the name of B.P. Marshall. And I was blessed to be the first hire at Ennis Business Forum in what was called a skilled labor position. And this was due to Clyde Banks' effort to get minorities hired at Ennis Business Forum other than janitor work and that kind of work. And then he inspired other minorities in the county.
You got 2 more minutes.
He also inspired other people in the county to move on, and one of them was Joseph L. Galloway, who became a town councilman and eventually became the mayor of the town of Chatham. He was also involved in getting the Pittsylvania County Community Action up and running in this county. So you can see why we are at about Clyde Banks. Now let me talk about the resolution that was put in the paper and one that you all signed off on. First of all, the resolution stated that the bridge would be in the north, let me get my glasses here, Chatham area, which is Chalk Level Road, would be the North Chatham Bridge. After you cross a certain point out here at Community Action, that becomes Pittsylvania County. And then the resolution jumped from there to the dry bridge, the ag building, the ag complex out here. Nothing being said about the bridge that connects Neighborhood Lane. So that was wrong. And then they put in the paper that Byrd was instrumental during his time to get interchange on the bypass, which is false. The bypass around Pennsylvania County occurred around 1965. And Mr. Byrd was the same age as I, and he would have been in high school or coming out of high school at that time. So he could not have been involved in getting the interchange or exit ramp in Pennsylvania County. But he did contribute. I give him credit for some improvement on the bridge, on the interchange out there at that bridge, which if we had had representation would have been taken care of when the bypass took place. Also in the newspaper, it speaks of no opposition. Well, no one in the community had an opposition because it was not indicated that that's where the sign was going to be and that's where it is. So why would we complain if it was in North Chatham or at the ag complex? Even found out that some of the board members didn't even realize where the bridge sign was going to go up at. So we are acting, which is within the resolution, from what I understand, authority of this board to change it and make it a Clyde L. Banks Senior Bridge, or we're requesting that you would go to the south end of the town, and the bridge that comes into the town of Chatham, named after Clyde L. Banks Memorial Bridge. Thank you, appreciate it, and I hope y'all will consider this. And last but not least, I also like to add,
I'm gonna give you 6 minutes and 15 seconds. Wrap it up, Willie.
okay, but I will say, you asked me to go to the elected officials. Now I've been to them, and Bill Stanley, our state senator, is on board with this. Thank you.
Okay, we got anybody else signed up?
Yes, we have Melissa Powell, and I know she's an overflow, but she can come into the meeting now. You're gonna go right up here to this wooden,
Hello. And I can take my mask off to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms.
Guys-
Powell, is that right?
Yes. And this is my friend Candy Lewis. We're here for the same reason. We're both small business owners in the Pittsylvania County community, and we have great concerns over the families in our area, family included. We're here asking, thank you for your time, first of all. We're here to ask for your votes in the First Amendment sanctuary proposal. As you know, it is passed in Campbell County, and they have had great reaction nationwide. They're getting a lot of exposure. We would like to join them as the largest county in Virginia and hopefully start a trickle effect across the state. We feel like the effects of this virus are much greater impacted on the families who are unable to survive due to the governor's mandates. And we would ask you all to consider being opposing of those mandates. Sorry, I got thrown in at the last minute. I'm not prepared. But as a single parent, both of us, and we're older, so we're a little more established. We can't imagine what families are going through, especially with, restaurants, people that wait tables, having to close earlier. It's just really, it's an infringement on our constitutional rights. And we would ask that you all vote in favor and let people make their choices independently on what they need to do for their safety and their health, but be able to provide for their families and say no to these tyrannical mandates. And that's it. You need to give me extra time.
Wow, you did good.
You're still within your parameters. You got a minute 25.
You want to
left.
ask me any questions? Listen, I started researching this virus about a year ago. So everyone thought I was out of my mind because I became very concerned when I watch news all around the world. I watch what goes on in California. I don't read books. I don't have TV. I turned my cable off years ago. So I don't listen to what the news says because they're programming you. I go get the information for myself. And I have thoroughly looked into the CDC, worldometer.com, which is a live, real time of deaths by state, by country, and it's not adding up. 1 and 1 is not 2 here. So, we have to always be cautious of our health and our safety, but it's just not adding up, in my opinion. So, and I'm fearful that once we start giving a little, they're going to keep coming for more, which they are, and then they're going to come after 2, which is a big problem because we all know why that amendment is there.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's all I've got.
Okay,
I hope I did okay.
Thank you.
thank you very much.
The third person signed up is Lester Terry.
Board, members, good evening. I was here just in case Mr. Fitzgerald has covered everything that I was coming up with, but I yield the rest of my time if he has anything that he wants.
Can't do that.
Can't do that? Okay, well, he voiced my sentiment exactly. Like I said, I've lived in that area 73 years, and I really considered it a slap in the face. So that's how I feel about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, anybody else?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move down to unfinished business. Do we have any, Mr. Hunt?
No.
Okay, new business, appointments.
No.
Matters from work session.
Yes, we have 7 items from the work session that we're proposing to adopt in a block vote. And those items are approval of the 640 memorandum of agreement, adoption of the solid waste reimbursement resolution, personnel changes approval, approval of the Danville Life-Saving Crew agreement with the 90-day equipment installation extension with evidence of COVID-related caused delays clause inserted in there, approval of the purchase of Life Pack 15 fire and EMS supplies with CARES funds, approval of Labella landfill cell C design contract administration contract addendum, and finally, approval to transmit the county's fire and EMS capital equipment inventory list to the the FRC for creation of an equipment replacement schedule approval. So those are the 7 items that we ask for you to approve via a block vote.
Mr. Chairman and Mr. Hunt, I think we may have inadvertently skipped over one, which was authorization to solicit bids for landfill equipment and authorize said purchase.
All right, does that complete the list?
Yes, sir.
We voted for them in a block.
Yes.
That's what the board agreed to. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a recommendation, we approve that block vote.
Second.
okay, motion made by Mr. Scarce, seconded by Mr. Davis. Any discussion on the motion?
My only discussion, Mr. Chairman, would be on the purchasing for the landfill equipment. I support it, but also knowing that there's 2 convenience centers in my district, I want to make sure the funding stays intact for those as well.
I'd be happy to respond. We did have a detailed analysis prepared by our financial advisor about various ways that the board can proceed with those. At your preferred speed, and we'll be bringing those back very shortly.
Great, thank you.
Please cast your votes. Motion carries unanimously. All right. Board members' reports. Mr. Dudley, we're gonna start with you this evening.
I don't have anything right now. I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Hope everybody stays safe during the holidays. You know, if you have to stay away to stay safe, it's okay. But just want to also, if you get an opportunity, if you know anybody, maybe that's by themselves or needs some help during Christmas, reach out to them, help them out. I'm a firm believer in trying to do what's right to help the folks that sometimes can't help themselves. So that's what I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I got several things. First of all, I wanted to commend and compliment Mr. Dale Aaron and his associates up in the Callens District for the restoration, preservation of the old Callens Post Office. And there were several corporate sponsors that helped take care of that as well. Also, we have 2 new troopers that are assigned here to what's known as Area 43, Trooper James Newby and Trooper Justin Myrick, who happens to be my nephew by marriage. And Ms. Powell that spoke was his mom-in-law.
Oh.
Yeah. Our dear friend, Mr. H.F. Haymore, retired clerk of court, won a very prestigious Rotary Award called the Paul Harris Fellow Award this past weekend. And part of that award was $1,000 to be donated to a charity of his choice. And so he gave half to the Mount Hermon Fire and Rescue. And since I conned him in serving on the cancer board for a second term, he gave us the other half. So that was nice. I want to remember Investigator Terry Barker, who passed away on December the 7th. Many years ago, worked with him, and we think of him often. Greater Brandon Missionary Baptist Church. They teamed up with social services and donated over 100 coats to children in need. And I was in South Boston working this past weekend. When I came back in to our county, I noticed this pretty Christmas wreath hanging on that welcome sign to find out that that was an effort put together by Sheriff Mike Taylor. And I thought it was worth mentioning. And apart from that, I don't have anything else except to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And we live with the promise that 2021 will be a much better year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
I don't really have anything prepared, just that I think this has been a tough, challenging year for all of us, whether it's individually, professionally, as a board, as a staff. So just looking forward to getting to 2021, and I wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Okay. Mr. Scares. Change.
Well, first off, I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. It's the special time of the year. I also appreciate Ms. Powell's comments on the oppressive edicts of our governor. So for my family, we're going to add some special civil disobedience traditions to our Christmas plans this year, and I plan on having as many of my extended family and friends that I can tolerate, and it will be without a mask. I hope the governor's listening. Thank you.
Mr. Davis.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I do want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and thank our law enforcement do a great job. I also want to recognize Mr. Henderson, who lost a very tragic situation, his dear son, of whom I got to meet on several occasions. Extremely powerful gentleman, good-looking rascal, and I was hurt over that because I knew we had a connection, and so and his dear wife, Mr. Henderson's got a lot on him. He needs our prayers, and which we have been. And Ms. Bowman, who was a stalwart, gave me a lot of information when I ran for election in 2015. Gave me a lot of insight. I do want to thank her for her support. And she never did give me a hug or anything else till after the whole thing was over with. She's extremely disciplined. I remember telling her I was just going to read a book, and she said, "You got that kind of time?" So I had to beat the streets. And so anyway, I appreciate her pushing me, and thank you for your commitment as well as your husband. And I want to thank our staff this year. Merry Christmas to them. This has been, this is an unprecedented year. Challenging, that the word pales against the backdrop of what we've looked at in this county from a myriad of situations. But from a financial standpoint, I do have to give credit where credit's due from Mr. Vanderhyde, County Administrator, County Attorney Richard Hicks. I don't want to forget the Colonel and his chicken box and everything else, but all those that are on the staff, Mr. Kevin Bumper, IT, and all, thank them for the great job they've done. But fiscally responsible, our county was in better shape going into the COVID than most counties. So that is a great attaboy to our fiscal responsibility. And lastly, let me conclude here that the roto jockey that he has hired, Mr. Nick Semper Fi, he made a statement that he wanted Mr. Smitherman to give him a sweet tea. I started to tell him in open forum, Mr. Warren, that good luck, because the only thing he's gonna offer is the water. You're gonna have to bring your own tea and sugar. I have to pay for coffee now as the county administrator office. So tight, unbelievable. So thank you to all, and our especially Matthew over there, always does a good job on his video, and I don't want to leave him out, as well as our copyright folk that are in the media. I thank you for your honest reporting and spelling my name right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Dr. Miller.
Yes, sir. Well, good afternoon to everybody. Before I make my comments, I do wish to say, as a minister of the gospel, that as we go into the Christmas season, I would like to encourage everybody, let's please remember the homeless. Particularly when I travel a lot during the week in my function, in my work, and oftentimes when I'm in areas like Greensboro or headed to Richmond or up to Charlottesville, you can see homeless people in various locations, and my heart, as well as my pocketbook, always goes out to them. So let us please remember those good people. Now, my comments. I wish to make a gentle and respectful address to my fellow members of the board. The matter is the bridge which is on the North Main Street of Chatham over bypass 29 in Pittsylvania County. And at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Hunt if he would be kind enough to share those with the other board members before I go further. Thank you, sir. I wish first to make it very clear that these comments in no way are to diminish the honor bestowed upon Mr. Roy Byrd Jr. As you can see on the first sheet of the handout, in the news clipping copy, the indication was that the North Chatham Bridge over US 29 near the Old Dominion Agricultural Complex was the designation. I, as a board member, and many other citizens interpreted this location to be what is known as Dry Bridge. Hence, there was no opposition to the designation. After receiving communications from my community members, I assess that the sentiment is that the present designation be readjusted to the advertised site or to a bridge within the Chatham town limits closer to Mr. Bird's home, which was on Davis Road, if I make no mistake. I would further ask that the staff do the research, I would further ask that the staff do the necessary research on preparing a resolution for renaming the North Chatham Bridge for the late Mr. Clyde Banks, a very well-known, respected, and honored African-American businessman in the community who advocated for minority inclusion in the county activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. I have several. Mr. Ingram touched on one of them. I do want to thank Sheriff Taylor and his efforts to get the wreaths to go on the welcoming signs. I think that's a really nice touch for this time of year. I want to take an opportunity to thank our staff and our executive team. Many people don't know, but it's been some really stressful times with inside the county offices and the services from this crazy times that we're living in, and COVID has really impacted our department from positive testing. So those folks have risen to the occasion, worked remotely. It's been difficult, but thank goodness we had the foresight to get the necessary equipment and technology in order to be able to continue to serve the citizens on those bases. So I thank the employees for stepping up and doing above and beyond. And for our employees, including Kaylin, that are currently out sick, we wish you a speedy recovery, and you're certainly in our thoughts and prayers. Also want to take an opportunity to thank Dr. Jones and the school system for the wonderful job they've done during these COVID times. It's just amazing the effort that it takes to do anything now, and they put plans together, made arrangements, and I think a lot of times, I know it's tough decisions for our school system and our school board. I tip my hat to them, but they've stayed steadfast, and just in general conversation, it's always brought up, and it's probably more in our minds this time of year than any other time, but there are children that are in our school system that the only time they get adequate nutrition is while they're in school and when they're coming. And I really appreciate the fact that when we were not in school, the school system made arrangements to still provide those, and had situations where the school, kids could come to the schools. We had volunteers outside of that doing it, and I just think that says a lot about the community we live in, how willing we are to help and work together and reach down to everyone. I've had the pleasure of talking with Mr. Fitzgerald quite a few times here recently in relationship to the bridge issue and just relations in general. And I think Mr. Fitzgerald and I are very, very much of like mind, that we would like to think that in our lifetime we'll get past anybody seeing anything other than just for what it is, and the services and what they've committed to the communities and all that, regardless of color, religion, or whatever. So, you know, we may not see it in our lifetime, but at least, Mr. Fitzgerald, I think we both agree we're heading in the right direction. So, I've echoed to Mr. Fitzgerald that from me personally, and I felt very comfortable about our board, that we had no problems whatsoever in being supportive of recognition for one of our noteworthy minorities to be recognized. So, certainly I can attest, I think, for all of us that Dr. Miller has the utmost respect of this board and the support of this board in his work. And he's been steadfast, he's been rock solid. He hadn't wavered from his Christian beliefs at any point in time, and I commend him for that. And so I just look for us to continue to move ourselves forward and hopefully get to a point where we're all can agree that, you know, this is the best solution, whatever the outcome of that will be, that we'd be united about it. I also want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and certainly remember, please remember the reason for the season. Mr. Hunt, do you have anything?
Just Merry Christmas.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir. A couple things. County government has absolutely felt the impacts of the post-Thanksgiving surge. As of 4:35 yesterday, when I sent an email to all employees about staggered shifts and alternative hours to the public, we had 5 departments affected by COVID. As of today, that's 7 departments affected by COVID. It has been a very difficult time trying to juggle all the responsibilities, but everyone's stepping up and doing their jobs and jobs of others. And while it is frustrating, is a very appropriate word for it, it is, as usual, great to be reminded of how great our employees are and how thoughtful they are about their work, and how they care for one another and take up when others are unable to perform. So we are responding well, but it is a frustrating time. On a positive note, I was telling Ms. Vanderhyde between meetings, it's the first time I got goosebumps listening to an audit report. Not that it was an earth-shatteringly significant audit report, but when you look at the trends and you look at where we were 4 years ago and where we are today, and the trend lines year by year by year of how that's going, this board and this staff together, we've really turned the corner, I think, financially. And I'm just super proud of the audit report results and the progress we've made. Also, I was very impressed with the decision we made and the gnashing of teeth that we went through to make the decision about the reassessment. That was a possibly multi-decade issue that you decided to tackle and start getting on a straight path. And I have a high degree of confidence in our contractor and in the methods that we're using, the money that we're saving, and most importantly, the quality product it looks like we're going to get through this reassessment. So very, very proud and happy of those 2 items. I wanted to bring to your attention, which you already know, but also to say publicly that we lost 3 employees this month to retirement, and we congratulate them all. 2 had well over 30 years experience inside of Pittsylvania County government, Mr. Jeff Stone and Ms. Joanne Luck, both very long tenured employees, and we wish them all the best. We also lost a critical member of our solid waste team, Mr. Michael Waller, was unable to continue due to health reasons and is on health-related retirement. He single-handedly kept that thing together when we were, quite frankly, foundering on Christmas Day and big moves and The man was out at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning on Sundays, assessing our system, getting it ready for the week, until we made the investments that he desperately needed to have a reasonable job. And we finally got that thing under control, and it's unfortunate that Mike's not going to be with us to enjoy the investments that we've been able to make for our citizens, which in turn have made the jobs of our solid waste collection folks more manageable. So we will definitely miss Mike and wish him all the best. And then finally, I am going to give, and I hope you'll join me, Kevin Bumper a round of applause.
Kim did good.
And Kim did too, but she's going to do that regardless. Kevin was placed in an unenviable position. Our entire IT staff is down, save Kevin. And everything you see tonight, Kevin's done single-handedly. Not to mention his job, but doing Kaylin's job too this evening. And we just really appreciate your effort tonight, Kevin, and all your efforts in making all this stuff work for us. So we really appreciate that. We wish Kevin Merry Christmas, and I wish all of you Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Nothing else to come before the board tonight. I declare the meeting adjourned.